I believe inevitably we have to devolve decision-making around resource management to local peoples, because the record around fish management, water management, it's all clear that when the local people manage it, it's conserved.
I think we can do a better job of managing our own forests, not someone else managing it.
Community forests are the farmers' market of the forest industry. We manage for wildlife, water, and biodiversity. Those are the three things that the communities have said, this is what you must manage for.
They're all kind of new industries, and they can be on the same land base as long as the caretaker of the land has that holistic view. And inevitably, people in communities do have a more holistic view.
We started using a low-grade log and getting high value out of it for the satisfaction of knowing that it wasn't being just chipped or left in the bush anymore. They're reject house logs. He couldn't use them as log homes.
What we originally were going to saw as ties, but the tie market dropped out and they were worth very little. We couldn't ship them and even break even on them, so we just sat on them. And now what we're doing is we're taking them and putting them on the bandsaw, and we're cutting them back into 1 inch, and they're going to go to be dried and made into flooring, and they're going to the Yukon. We make more out of it. Customer gets a better product. It's not just going into railway ties. It being something that somebody can actually see on their floor.
It doesn't take much to make a big difference in the business, just by a little bit added manpower.
Community forestry means something different in every community. In our community, it's been a resource extraction community since its inception. Have had the booms and busts that go along with it. What the community forest does for us is generates us the revenue to diversify our economy and start developing our tourism is what we're trying to expand on.
It all started with gold. The 1859 gold rush started here at Quesnel Forks, and it's been boom and bust ever since. With the gold rush over and forestry in decline, the community is now investing in tourism.
Biggest thing that's noticeable if you roll into Likely are just, the kiosk signs with all kinds of information on the history and flora and fauna and route maps of the river. And that's unique anywhere in the province. You can't really even go to a national park and pull off the road and get that kind of info. Well, you might overlook things like nice, clean, well-stocked out houses and campsites and brushed out trails and roads and, there's a lot of stuff. I don't actually know everything that the community forest does. I just sort of see the stuff that I benefit from as a kayaker.
In the late 1800s, early 1900s, right up till the 1950s, the Bullion Pit mine, which all the earth was removed from this hole by water monitors, draining water with 40 miles of ditches hand dug to 6 or 7 lakes in the surrounding area. It was the biggest hydraulic mine in North America at the time. So because we have the community forest, we were able to do some select harvesting and open up the view so that the traveling public could see it from the side of the highway. Here we are turning part of the working forest into a viewscape for tourism.
It's one of the most intact ghost towns in British Columbia. Nanaimo had a Chinatown, Vancouver in the early days had a Chinatown, Victoria of course had a Chinatown. But what made Quesnel Forks unique was that it was a Chinese town. The population was entirely Chinese. It's part of the culture and it helps preserve the culture. With the funding that we get, we also get our raw materials, including the shakes that go on the roofs and the logs that go in the walls. When we first started here, none of us had any experience with log houses or log buildings. A lot of what we had to do was basically teach ourselves. It's so much easier these days.
People have the general skills, they just need to be employed locally, and the community forest here in Likely is a perfect example of that. And they have side benefits, take on extra contracts and so on, and round out the employment. But
I can't imagine working anywhere else now. I used to work in Vancouver, so this is a pretty good fit. I love my job.
Yeah, we harvest these berries. They come from the community forest, and we make jam and jelly, and these are rosehip berries from wild roses. They grow all over the interior of BC. Boil them up and add a little sugar and make jelly. Some of the berries respond well to logging, and some harvesting is actually beneficial to the berry crop.
They actually really like it. And we go to Maple Ridge to the crafts fair down there, and they just buy it right up. It's surprising. They're all natural berries from the community forest.
We're 115 kilometers from the bank, the grocery store, and the hospital, and the dentist. So we have a great group of volunteers struggling, trying to have a first response volunteer fire department. But they are reliant on donations. So our ambulance for our first responders had rust holes in the floor, dead batteries, and no gas. So if someone got hurt, you'd have to go and jumpstart the ambulance, put some gas in it, and while you're transporting the people, they're getting sprayed with water off the road.
This is our Likely Fire Rescue first responder vehicle, which Likely Hatzel Community Forest helped us to purchase. In fact, they played a major role in purchasing it for us and covered the major cost.
With forestry and resource industries in decline, Likely needs to diversify its economy. Profits from the community forest are used as seed money to leverage other funding and other projects.
It was too slow. We didn't get this piece painted.
Outhouses for the campground and new picnic tables. Jobs are created. The infrastructure is improved, tourism increases, and the local economy benefits.
It optimizes the flow of dollars in the community. It keeps dollars in the community. And so that helps create employment, because most of these small rural-based economies are contracting. And so what this does is it's a growth industry.
This is the 16th annual Paddle Fest, so we started up in '92. There's a kayak class going on today as well, and I think yesterday was the biggest day ever we had for rafts. I think there's 8 rafts out doing trips for people in the community, and people came here just to raft for this weekend, so that was pretty cool. The community forest makes my life a lot more fun, recreating in Likely, that's for sure. What it does for me, pretty much in a nutshell.
And we also are managing to keep the wilderness part of our tourism around, so we don't want 200,000 people. We're hoping one day we have to put up a gate.
You know, with the way Aboriginal rights law is going and so on, the question of who owns the resources is really up in the air. In fact, there is shared ownership. And so there has to be more and more shared decision making.
The community forest is a joint venture between Likely and the Soda Creek Indian Band. And the benefits flow to both communities.
It keeps our heritage site up and running. And we need this site to be able to teach our youth and bring our youth and our elders together.
By having the community forest benefits Soda Creek in our health department, our education. It brings communities together, and it gives us an opportunity to focus on what we have in our own backyards, and that's the land.
And the ecological capital around you is something that is your living space, and it's your viewscape, and it's also the sustenance for your families, water, recreation, clean air, all those things people are conscious of. And the fact that they have more control over it than they've had in the past only has positive results.
Everybody wins this way.
There should be more community forests so that all communities can benefit from it. Because as you can see, we've benefited here at Hatzoul and Likely. So that's how I feel about it.
All communities in BC could benefit from having a community forest and generating a little income into their community and spending it on what's near and dear to their heart.
There was a lot of people that said it's only a matter of time before Quesnel Forks would just be washed straight into the river. And again, without the help of the community forest, it might have.